Yeah, thank you everyone for coming today. I'm Lucy. I'm the Student Opportunities Manager at the AberSU. Got here with me today Tom, our Societies Development Coordinator, Emily, our Sports Coordinator. We've got Martin and Alice from the Representation Department who are running the elections here. And we've got Wojciech, our current Opportunities Officer. So yeah, thank you guys for coming. Obviously we've got our candidates here and we've got a few students from clubs and societies in attendance as well. So as you should be aware, the purpose of this session is a relaxed opportunity for candidates to meet some key volunteers, our committee members, the people that they might be representing next year, and of course vice versa as well for students to meet the candidates too. We've scheduled an hour for this session. It might take a little bit less, might take a little bit more, but we'll be moving then straight into our sports and society zone after it, hopefully for 6 o'clock start. So this evening is also an opportunity for candidates to form their ideas. Obviously some candidates may still be forming those, so students asking questions, just be aware. And an opportunity for them to meet individuals as well they might choose to continue conversations with afterwards as well. So before I begin, if we can just politely ask attendees who aren't speaking to mute themselves, just so we don't disrupt those who are speaking. And then for candidates, if I can just ask that you keep your answers to questions to a couple of minutes, just to allow for other candidates to speak and everyone's got a fair opportunity. So we've got a few opening questions that I'll be starting with for the candidates. And then from there, there'll be a chance for any attending students as well to ask questions, and we'll get through as many as we can in the time that we've got allocated. Anyone wishes to ask a question, if you just put it in the chat, and then I'll invite you then when ready to unmute yourself and to ask your question to the candidates. I'll be taking it in turns with the candidates answering questions, no particular order. And any questions that students ask, if you can just try and keep it to keep an open question that all candidates can answer and not one that's specific to a candidate's specific idea. And of course, any questions not deemed appropriate won't be put forward either. But we'll go over the student questions shortly after we've asked ours first. Okay, so to get everyone settled, we're going to ask some scene setting questions to give you all an understanding of the candidates that are here today that are running for Opportunities Officer. First off, I'll be asking candidates to introduce themselves. So that'll be their name, what course they're studying, and a favourite memory from their time in Aber. So at this point, don't tell us about why they're standing. You'll get a chance to tell us about that shortly. So name, course studying, and a favourite memory from Aberystwyth. If we can start off with Matty.
Hello, I'm Matty and I study sports and exercise science, and I think probably my favourite memory from being in Aber is definitely my first year when I joined up with football and we went on to win the Bucks League for the first time in I don't know how many years. So yeah, that was probably my favourite moment.
Great, thank you, Matty. If we go for Jodie next.
Oh, I'm off mute. Hi, my name's Jodie. I graduated last July in drama and theatre studies, and I'm now studying a postgraduate in theatre practice. My favourite memory has got to be my second year when I helped to dance become 10 years undefeated at varsity. Incredible experience, really.
Great, thanks, Jodie. Next, can we go for Reese?
I think I'm here now. Hello, I'm Reese. Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm studying zoology, and my favourite memory of last year, last year, my first year, we as part of a officer campaign for last year, actually, we helped host a rave in PR as part of one of the academic affairs runs for last year, and the whole night was just amazing. It was such a good experience. The music was on point. And we raised nearly £1,000 for the Mine charity, so it was buzzing. Brilliant night.
Great, thanks, Reese. And finally, to go for Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel. My pronouns are she, her. I study drama and theatre studies. I'm in my final year, and I'd say my favourite memory or memories will probably be the socials where we got to dress up fully. One of them that sticks in my head was for one of our last socials before everything went to pot last year was the Welsh social, where I went as Nessa from Gavin and Stacey. And then just before that, actually just after, at the rave, when we had our Disney social the same night. So I turned up to a rave as Vanellope von Schweetz from Wreck-It Ralph. And it was highlight of my life.
Great, thank you everyone. Thank you for your introductions there. Next questions. I'd like to ask candidates what, if any, previous involvement that you've had with sports and societies. So just to be clear, this doesn't have to be just through the Students' Union, just your time at university. It could have been from school or in your free time. But yeah, so previous involvement you've had with clubs and societies. We'll start off this time with Rhys, please.
And you'll move, it's very slow. So I have been a social secretary since last summer, and that was really to host, well, to try and host socials in the summer and try and make a success out of the very limited stuff we had to do was really fun, and I've really enjoyed doing that. And I'm not sure if it counts, but in year 13 I organised my year's prom on my own. That was fun, and that's the two things I've done.
Brilliant, thanks, Rhys. Next up, we'll go Rachel.
Okay, so I'm currently Vice President of the Nomadic Players Theatre Society. The fact that it's a theatre society should just say how it's going right now. Before that, I was welfare officer, so I've progressed within the lineage of the committee. In terms of, and before that in high school, I was head of Eisteddfod. Today's St. David's Day. I find that very apt. Where I was in charge, one of the people in charge of organising the on-stage events, as well as encouraging participation off-stage, because that got points up, and we actually won that year. So not to toot my own horn, but I will toot it. And then for sports, I don't play that much sports, mainly because my knee is absolutely in wreckage, but I am an avid rugby fan. I got very excited at the rugby on the weekend, and my housemates know about it because they can hear me from the 3rd floor.
Great, thank you all. Thanks, Rachel. Next, we have Jodie.
Hi, so I've been here for 4 years, and in that time, I've managed to make a lot of connections within both sports and societies. I've had 4 different roles on 2 different committees, which include everything from choreographer to social sec, so a wide range. But going even further back, I don't know how it happened, but I was head girl of my school, so I had to organise everything from there, which really helped the kind of progression from A level all the way up to university. So I feel like I understand both sides a little bit.
Great, thank you, Jodie. And finally, if we have Matty, please.
Yeah, so I'm in my 3rd year now, and for 2 years of my 3 years I've been on committee. So last year I was development officer. This year I'm first team Bucks captain, and then all the way back through school I've been in different football teams, from sort of like a pro level to a uni level, and I'm currently playing for Abertown as well, so I've sort of got the uni and then the local side of things. So yeah, I think that's it from me.
Right, thank you to our candidates there. Next question. If elected as Student Opportunities Officer for next academic year, what would you wish to focus on, and how would you approach this? So if elected as Student Opportunities Officer next year, what would you wish to focus on, and how would you approach this? Okay, so if we can start please with Rachel.
Okay, so my priorities for the year, I want to focus mainly, but not limited to, on 3 things. Those things are communication, collaboration, and accessibility and inclusion. Communication, I feel that, of course, at the moment, everything is online. We can't do anything in person. I feel like not a lot of work needs to be done in ensuring that everyone knows what's happening and when, and deadlines, and just ways to get involved in other things that, of course, we can't do at the moment, still pick up that student experience. And then for collaboration, at the moment, of course, we've got the SU Super Challenge, which is absolutely amazing. I want to see if we could do that, but maybe against other universities. So it's not just super teams and varsity. It's stuff for the whole university experience that can get involved, and hopefully, as I say, hopefully we will be Bangor. And then accessibility. I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to have a say and is able to participate. Linking all those together, I want to have more opportunities for people to give their feedback through weekly drop-in sessions or mini zones. Like so afterwards, we have the sports and sock zones, which are absolutely incredible in getting people's views. But sometimes faces and voices can get a bit lost because there's so many people. So we've had smaller zones at a more regular basis. It'll be easier for me to get to know people more personally. So I get to know what they're about and what I can do as their ops officer, and just create a more loving experience and community feel for both equally sports and societies. Sweet.
Great, thank you, Rachel. Next up, can we have Matty, please?
Okay, yeah, so my 3 things I want to focus on are fun, funding and facilities. I think going into this role, I think it's important for myself to understand that it's only a year's role, and I don't want to say that I'm going to be able to do everything and then not put that into place. So I think that's false. I think I need to be realistic with what I'm going to do. So my main aim really is the fun part, just based off how sort of badly affected everyone's been this year, and you can see it all over social media how it's affected everyone. So I think the main thing is to push for fun, and then with being local, I've sort of got that connect between the local businesses, local people, so that can buy into both facilities and funding, because obviously if they can provide us with funding, then hopefully we can provide the facilities for the sports side and also the sock side. So we've got the art centre, I think, which needs to be utilised a lot more and possibly for free. And then along with the local businesses then helping with providing new facilities for us. So yeah.
Great, thanks, Matty. Next up, can we have Reese, please?
So my main focuses that I want to really push forward for next year are society preparedness and club preparedness. So being prepared to when restrictions ease and when everything relaxes, the ability to be able to get everything going and in motion as soon as possible for the benefit of our students, all the volunteer work, societies, club sports, everything as possibly and cleanly as possible, because it's been something that everybody's missed. And it is a massive deal that when we can and are able to safely go about our normal uni lives, I think that the SU should be and will be prepared for that eventuality. Wellbeing reform within societies and club sports as a whole. I feel the wellbeing role in societies and in sports club is very underused. And I myself did some training as part of being a social sec on wellbeing, and I do deeply feel that the university wellbeing's the systems and the stuff they have out for people at the moment is very overwhelmed, and people are more likely to talk to their friends. And I think that with a reform of wellbeing and given a lot more training, a lot more focus to wellbeing officers, it will just make the society a bit bigger family, and everyone can be able to be healthy and happy and get the support they need very easy. And definitely society outreach and advertisement. I feel like the resources that societies have at the moment and haven't been adequate enough to increase member turnouts and stuff. Like one of the things we struggled with last year was getting members this academic year was unable to connect to people because of COVID and a lack of a freshers fair and stuff. So I think we need a new a very new, updated platform which societies and club sports can advertise positions and advertise activities and stuff, and a nice big hub where everything can be there in one place, easy accessible for all students. And that's me.
Thank you, Reese. And finally, we have Jodie to answer this question, please.
Hi. So I kind of missed the rule of thirds and decided to go for 4. So I've broken it down to 4 main sections that I think would be best to focus on. The first is for COVID-safe options. So pushing for more exploration during the transitional period out of COVID, whether that is this year or whether it's in the future, to see how we can get those up and running again for people, because it really has been something that we've missed out on this year. It's affected everyone's experience, and we just kind of want to make that transition a little bit easier. The second is working on inclusion for non-club and society members by providing more opportunities and events they can get involved with. So whether that's setting up more potential events like Aber Challenge for the wider community of students in Aber, I feel like that'd be something that a lot of people could resonate with. I've had a lot of feedback from people who say that they're struggling and their voices aren't being heard enough, which I feel like would be great to include them on things. My third is to push for more in-depth support for committee members on how to deal with the ever-changing COVID situation. So that's more training, looking at how we go, see, again, this transitional period, make sure everything's set in place for next year to make the transition as easy as possible, because I know being on committee this year, I found it really difficult. And my fourth one is to push for further advertisement of possible employment opportunities for everyone. So whether that's volunteering, whether that's general employment opportunities within the town, I feel like that's something everyone can get on board with and see, this is what the future is, this is what we could do right now, here is what's available to you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Jodie. Yeah, thank you, candidates, for your answers there. Lots of great ideas going on, lots of exciting things to think about for our attendees here today. So I got 2 more questions. The next one is, how would you seek to increase student engagement with sports and societies if elected? So again, how would you seek to increase student engagement with sports and societies if elected? And let's this time start with Jodie, please.
Hello again. So I know, especially for me, in the times of COVID, everything is online. It's extremely difficult to get everyone to engage with what you're putting out there, promoting. And this is especially prevalent, especially last year, with sports and societies, because a lot of pages we were creating, we were working so hard on, no one seemed to see, which meant without Freshers Fair, without the physical in-person, people just weren't seeing us and we weren't able to get more members. I want to be able to set up more potential chats, maybe more groups where people can look into and advertise their clubs and societies in a better and more efficient way, so they can clearly see what's exactly happening when this is going forward. The union's done amazing this year, but I feel like there's still some progress that could be made to get it out there on social media, because we don't know what next year is going to be like. We could still be exactly the same position we are right now. And as long as we plan for the potential, anything's possible, really.
Great, thank you, Jodie. We can go for Reese next, please.
So again, yeah, it ties in quite nicely to some of the stuff I said on the last question in regards to my wanting to create an entirely new platform specifically for sports clubs and societies. It's something, it's quite similar to something like Aber, something we already know and use quite a lot. And again, it will just be like a very quite similar to what we have on the SU page now, but it will be a dedicated app that will be able to show all societies information consistently updated, an entire new forum in which members of societies and committees say if they need a new right back in football or a new full back in rugby, or any member of any team, or any being from TFTS society myself, looking for actors and cinematographers and stuff like that. It's always a big issue, because if someone pulls out, you're in a bit of a sticky situation. So again, being able to, committees will be able to fill out forms that say, oh, we require these positions being filled, and then students will be able to then apply to those positions, and it will increase member turnout, because again, member turnout was such a massive issue for us, and maintaining member turnout. And I think if there is a new complete hub in which societies and sports clubs can have all their attention thrown at it, I think it will benefit everybody and member turnouts massively. So yeah, that's me.
Great, thank you, Reese. Next, we have Rachel, please.
So I think the most obvious response to that would probably be like incentives, but I feel that as well as incentives are good sometimes because they can encourage people, sometimes people would just be going to that event or just joining that society or club or something just for the incentive. We want to like put the passion and enjoyment back into it, so it's not just a chore just to get a tenner. So as much as I think that those could be working, also maybe going back to my idea with having mini zones and more collaboration, so it's easier for people to pop in and out of society just to see what they're about, almost like more regular freshers fair kinds of things. And also it's to do with communication. And at the moment for refreshers, there's been a lot about societies and clubs putting up their events on the SU website, so more word is getting out about those. But it's also about, so if there's something with the SU, that we make sure that everyone knows about it in good time, make sure that everyone knows about it in good time, and encourage people through that. And I don't think it's just the students that we should be encouraging for all that. It should also be committee members. So through development meetings that I will happily have either one-to-one in a group through these drop-in sessions, so we can decide, okay, what is your society or club about? What can you do at the moment online, and how can we encourage new people? Is there an event that's coming up? For example, maybe it's a rugby watch along party, maybe it's a theatre watch along party. Like just in the week I popped in briefly to a show dance stretch and conditioning session. So it's finding out all these different ways where people can get involved, and hopefully I think if we have such a range of events, that can encourage people to say that there is something for them, whether it just takes a bit more exploration. So I definitely push development and slight incentives, but not so much, more on the actual what the events are actually about rather than pushing for prizes.
Great, thank you, Rachel. And finally, for this question, if we can have Matty, please.
Yeah, so I think it's not sort of as an ops officer what you want, it's what the students want. So I think the main thing is to sort of look at the student voice and maybe hand out surveys, and then whatever, you know, is the most popular or what people want, you have to sort of supply that, because if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. So I think that's one of the main things. I think a lot of one point, that sort of steers people away from societies and clubs is the sort of fees with membership, especially now after COVID. I think we need to work to sort of, well, again, with local businesses to sort of bring the sponsorships in, and can we apply for funding or grants elsewhere sort of to keep the prices down. But I think there's that many clubs and societies anyway, inclusion should be high. But I think the main thing is that stopping people is the student voice. So we need to sort of listen to them and then put it into reality rather than just brush over it.
Great, thank you, Matty. Okay, my final question. And following this question, we'll be going then to any attending students that'd like to ask questions as well. Okay, so please sum up in 30 seconds why you think students should vote for you as Opportunities Officer. Okay, so sum up in 30 seconds why you think students should vote for you as Opportunities Officer. So we'll begin this time with Rachel.
Do we get 30 seconds to prep, or is it just straight in? Okay, so to my own horn again, but I'm a lot of fun. I'm a champion of student voice, and I want you to have the best experience possible at university, regardless of pandemic. But of course, we need to be considerate of that. I want you to have the best years possible. I want the SU to be made by you and for you. And I know that pandemic or not, whether we see the end of it or not, we're going to have a good year. We're going to be pushing for opportunities, pushing for enjoyment outside of studies, so you get a break, and also that you see that university actually is fun. Don't know how long that was, but I've spoke.
Well, that sounds good. Thanks, Rachel. Next up, we have Matty, please.
So I'm going to stop watching myself on my phone just so I don't go over it. Okay, so why you should vote for me? I want to make this year the best I can, and I'm not doing it for myself. Yes, I want this role, but my main aim is to sort of give everyone else the great experience I've had in my first and second year, because I've loved every minute of it, and that's why I want to stay and don't want to leave. And I promise that I'll do everything I can to sort of increase your experience and make it the best it can be. And I'm done in 25 seconds.
Thanks, Matty. Next up, we have Jodie, please.
Oh God, I feel like I'm on this countdown. There's a reason I've been here for 4 years. I am in love with this university, and a lot of my best experiences have come straight off from the union. Being a part of that and listening to what you want as well, and giving you the chance to have an amazing opportunity just like I have, means the absolute world to me. I want to improve it for you, give you a chance to say exactly what you want to say, and make your university life the best it possibly can be for you, regardless of what you identify as or who you are as a person.
Great, thanks, Jodie. And finally, we have Reese, please.
Absolute blinding speed of technology. I've gone with Matty's idea. I've backed out the stopwatch because that was a shout. Right, go. So I wish to bring my uncompromisingly happy disposition, creative and refreshers ideas, and inability to stop talking to the role of opportunities officer. I'm so ready to start and get going and get everything together. I'm so passionate about all this entire role and everything to do with the AberSU family that we are. And I just want to be a really big and integral part of what makes this amazing uni and this amazing town so amazing, for use of a better word. 31 seconds, we'll do that.
Great, thank you, everyone. Thank you for that. Okay, so we are now going to turn to questions from students that are in attendance. Emily and Tom, our Sports and Societies coordinators, will be leading this part of the session. So as already highlighted, if you can just ask any questions in the chat, and then Tom or Emily will invite you at random to ask your question to the candidates. So again, just please remember that questions should be directed at all candidates and not specific to one candidate's idea. And of course, they need to be appropriate as well. Right, over to you two, Tom and Em.
Hey guys, thanks for all that. That was great. So yeah, like they said, pop a question in the chat, but we do have a few filler ones for you guys. So first one, which one? I'll just go in the order of list. How would you promote greater diversity and inclusion in our clubs and SOCs as per the AberSU values? So how would you promote greater diversity and inclusion in our clubs and SOCs as per the SU values? So we'll go to, let's go to Matty first.
Okay, yeah, so similar to sort of what I said, I think it's important that I think we can use super teams as a sort of example, where it's one of the only events I think that's very popular, where you have both sports clubs and societies, and it sort of fills out so quick. I think there should be more of that to sort of boost the inclusion, just because everyone enjoys it so much. In an ideal world, I think there should be more SOCs. I think for every sort of degree there should be a SOC for that. It's not, maybe it's not realistic, but in an ideal world there would be one for every sort of degree scheme. But I think, like I said, the main thing is it's what the students want. It's not what we want. It's the students who are in uni. They attend the SOPs, they attend the club. So yeah, I think it's more listen to them and go from there.
Awesome, thank you. We'll go to Rachel next.
Thank you. Sorry. So one of my priorities is improving accessibility and inclusion, and one of those things, part of that is so we have the inclusivity statements that we encourage to put in all our clubs and societies, which is absolutely amazing. But I want to ensure that that is more than just a statement on a website. So I would really be looking forward to meeting with each club society, whether that's the whole committee, whole society, just presidents and captains, to see what they're doing in their events, whether if they're inclusive to everyone, so all ability, sexuality, gender identity, ensuring that there is a space for everyone, because that is what the SU is all about. We're a big university family where everyone should have a place, and we should encourage that. And if they're struggling, of course we'll work towards a thing, whether it's working on team membership, whether it's certain roles that they want to include, whether it's maybe each society adopts an LGBTQ plus committee member, so there's a representative there, regardless, even if it's just a small thing. It's that one thing that could mean a lot to someone. And yeah, I just want to encourage and bring out this loving community that AberSU is, and not just leave it as a statement on a website. It's important, but to make it more than just a statement on the website.
Awesome, thank you for that. We'll go to Reese next.
So yeah, definitely the encouragement of tolerance, and it showed the importance of how everybody is themselves, and everybody is amazing and beautiful and fantastic as they are, and these messages need to be pushed within the societies. I definitely feel like the best me coming to university, I've been very limited in what I'd seen of the wider world and stuff, and coming here has shown me a lot and taught me a lot about myself and a lot about the friend. I have a very greater understanding, and a lot of it comes down to society events and drinking and meeting people. Like I know it's a bit cliche and I know it's a bit silly, but you find the most about people and how they are and who they are on a night out, and a lot of the themes and ideas and messages that society, like individual events, will carry is massive. Like I'm a massive fan of the Rocky Horror Show, and I absolutely love being able to dress up and getting fishnets and look absolutely fantastic and amazing. And again, it just that whole idea of the Rocky Horror Show, it furthers the idea and support of the transgender community, and how important it is that we look after and defend people, and how everyone should be able to do everything they want to be able to do, and it's massively important. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome, thank you. And then finally up, Jodie.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of my thoughts and feelings have already kind of been covered brilliantly, but the main part about the Students' Union is we are a students' union, and that means every single student. So regardless of what you identify as, regardless of pronouns, gender identity, sexuality, whatever you are, you deserve to be represented and you deserve to be included within everything. The best way to do this is to make sure there is no discrimination, there is a zero tolerance in every possible way. So whether that is included more in training for committee members and making sure we take that out immediately from the get-go. But Aber as a whole is an extremely inclusive society. We're very lucky with what we currently have. But making sure, keeping up, zero tolerance, nothing like that, and we can keep up the amazing work I feel like we're already doing.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Just on the back of that, I know a few of you touched on it briefly, but we've had a question in the chat from Victoria, who's asked, this is specifically relating to your policies now. How are you planning on ensuring that your policies are LGBTQ plus friendly? So yeah, we've spoken about diversity and inclusion quite a lot just then, so maybe just briefly outline couple of sentences maybe how you'd ensure that your policies are inclusive, specifically relating to the LGBTQ plus community. We'll start with Rachel first.
I think the main thing about that is, like Jodie said, I adopt, a no tolerance policy towards transphobia, biphobia, homophobia, anything that discriminates against another individual. And also through policies, in documents, I think one thing I'd adopt is, in every opportunity as best as possible, to use gender neutral pronouns. So it's not just him and her, it's they, so anyone could feel included. And if anyone from that feels like I could be doing more, I'd happily take on feedback, because me as a cis white woman, like I can only speak from certain experiences. But also I'd happily be listening to other people and other members of our SU community and how I can improve that. But I think the main thing that I do is make sure there's no tolerance policy in overall all of my policies and all of my ideas. But in addition to writing it down, it would be using gender neutral pronouns.
Cool, thanks Rachel. If we go to Jodie next.
Hi, okay. So this is a huge one for me, mainly because I identify within this community, and at the heart of all my policies, am I paused? No, I'm fine. And at the heart of all my policies was LGBTQ plus community inclusivity. So every policy that I put out there, regardless whether it's aiming at sports and societies, whether it's committee training, general inclusion of all students or employability, everything encompasses LGBTQ plus inclusivity. So no matter who you are, you still have the exact same opportunities as everyone else. And I've been very lucky to see that part of this entire community. So at the heart of what I put out there, I've broken it down and I've made sure that everyone is under the same boat. No discrimination policy, nothing, zero tolerance, but we are all students in the end. I have no idea what's going on outside my room, so ignore that if you can hear it. But it's at the heart for me, and wherever it goes, it will always be something that's always underlined to make sure everyone's okay.
Great, thanks Jodie. Matty next.
Yeah, so definitely zero tolerance. I think if you even think about tolerating it, then there's no way you don't really stand a chance. I think one of the main things is to make everyone feel comfortable within whatever you do, because if they don't, they just won't enjoy or they won't participate. I think, no matter what you identify as or what your sexuality is, I think it's more of you need to be included in everything. Everyone's the same. Like Jodie said, we're all students at the end of the day. We're in the same uni, we're in the same SU, we're all part of a big plan. So I think the main thing is zero tolerance and just make everyone feel as comfortable as you can.
Awesome. And finish with you, Reese.
Yeah, so in regard to making sure the policies are LGBTQ friendly, again, it's the formation of any policy in any aspect of like whether it be like our policies that we formulate or anywhere else, fundamentally they have to be inclusive. Otherwise, you will not get support and you will not garner any kind of following, because it's inclusive. You're clearly showing that you don't have the best interests of everyone at heart. So I do feel like fundamentally policies should be inclusive, and every single position, every single tiny little piece of every single society should be open to absolutely anybody, and it should be based down onto everyone's own personal ability, as opposed to who they identify as and who they love, because to show a change, or that would be ridiculous. And definitely well-being reform again with the societies, a bigger push for more controlled society and more well-being officer roles within societies. Training should be increased, because again, anyone in those positions, it can be incredibly stressful, especially if they're experiencing any kind of negative issues or anything like that. And again, having that support there, that qualified support, would be able to completely eliminate any kind of bigotism or single-mindedness. That still, again, like this uni is amazing for it. It's brilliant, and we've made massive progress. But I think there is just a little bit more we could do.
Awesome, thanks guys. Yeah, I think it's clear that obviously you guys have thought about it and it means a lot to you. So yeah, it was cool to hear your thoughts. Tom, do you want to come in with another question?
So another question from chat. After year we've had, the support towards societies has improved a lot, in bracket considering that it's been easier for societies to engage in comparison to clubs. Question, how will you ensure that the support continues should everything resume as normal next year? Hopefully you guys got that. I mumble a lot, so hopefully you got that. Let's go with Reese first. We haven't had enough of your voice.
Look at that, you get me twice in a row. I feel sorry for you. Again, so for providing support, it's more just about being prepared. Obviously, it is very uncertain at the moment. But since we're all on a lockdown, we have loads and loads of free time, every single one of us, and we can always use it to organise everything that we can to its greatest possible extent, obviously without involving any kind of major losses or anything that might seriously damage any funding or money opportunities and stuff. But everything should be planned as if it can go ahead, because the worst thing that could happen for us all is if we're all, if one week, one month, okay, we're locked down, and next thing you know, we're out and we can do things, and the whole new everything can be done again. So again, just preparedness and being ready for any eventuality. If you have to lock things down, do it as quickly and safely as possible. If we can have socials, we can have club sports back. Look, we all need and miss it so much. Need to be ready to be able to just get it gone and get it ready.
Awesome, thank you. Jodie next.
Okay. So when it comes down to it, fundamentally, Team Aber is Team Aber. That is sports and societies in equal measure. My cameras want to know it, that's nice. And if this pandemic has taught us anything, it's how especially incredible the organisation over both clubs and societies have been, considering everything that's happened. And especially within societies, they've obviously had a lot more opportunities to come up with more things, because they're very different to what clubs can potentially offer. With ensuring to making sure that this support goes ahead equally, it comes down to a philosophy of both are equal as each other. Not one is more important than the other. They are both as important together to create one whole community in Aber. And as long as you're in the mindset of both of these deserve just as much recognition as each other, there's no way that one can falter over the other. I think both are brilliant. Both committees on either side have done incredible these past few months to make everything as accessible as they possibly can for its members. And because they offer such widely different things, making a definite point of making sure that these are both equal would help to ensure this for next year.
Awesome, thank you. Let's go Matty next.
Yeah, so I think everything that we do needs to be 50-50 for both the Socs and the club. So any sort of funding or facilities that sort of come from wherever the source is, I think they need to be shared equally. I think another one, again, student voice. You know, if a society wants to start or expand, we need to be there to listen to them. I think as well, sort of a development meeting within sort of uni staff members and with then sort of leaders of the Socs, just to work out, you know, what do they want? Do they want to expand? Do they sort of want to stay? What do they want to do to like sort of promote their Soc or club as best they can? I think as well, to make use more of the facilities we already have. So the big sort of room in the union, I think needs to be used a lot more. Maybe can we lower the fees? I'm not really sure, but I think it's a way of getting everyone together. And then obviously this is sort of COVID dependent, but if obviously things worsen, then there are ways to keep things going. I mean, we've done really well to sort of give them both clubs and societies the support now, so that can continue. And then if we do come out of code regulations, then, you know, I'll do everything I can to sort of help evenly distribute both things. So yeah.
Awesome. Rachel, your turn.
So echoing what everyone said, it is going to be a 50-50 split. Of course, at the moment, I think the best way forward is that I'm going to put forward contingency plans. I want to work with each committee and see, like, at the start of the year, we had those plans where we had the traffic lights, where it's like, yay, you can go, you can't go yet. It all went to bit to pot, but that's because we're listening to the rules, which is good. And yeah, I feel like we should have 2 contingency plans, one for stuff being in person, one being online. But when I mean 2 contingency plans, I mean alternatives. So the same events, but so say super teams, if that can happen in person, do what's normal. If that can't happen in person, what can we do to still put it on? Like at the moment, we've got Arts Festival. When Iris submitted an idea last year, I doubt she knew it was going to be online. So we worked with that, and we showed that we can do it. And with those contingency plans, of course, making sure all committee are aware, all committee have their say, that their voice is paramount, that the voices of members are paramount. Of course, when it comes to clubs, that's going to be a bit more difficult because, of course, it's not going to be physical. But I know that, throughout lockdown, there's been ways and means of getting together and training sessions online. It may not have had the same effect. Like, of course, we would love all these events to be back in person where they belong, but we can't just use the fact that we can't be in person to ignore the fact that these events need to happen. So I definitely push forward for contingency plans. I love writing down notes, so I'd have a massive notebook for everyone, so everyone has their say. And then, yeah, making sure that the appropriate funds and accessibility needs are there. So if they need spaces, if we're allowed to be in spaces, those are there with booking systems working, and everyone is just able to enjoy their time. So that would be my support system, would be contingency, because we don't know what's going to happen next year, but that's okay.
Awesome. Love a good plan, A, B, C.
It maybe even D by this point, who knows?
Awesome. Okay. We've got 2 main questions left, so we're going to ask you to keep your answers to just 30 seconds so we can get through them before the end. So the second but last one is, despite the year we've lost to COVID, Pride has maintained a good working relationship with WAJ, and they would like to continue that into the future. So their question is, how open are you to working alongside Pride to continue improving the university's queer-friendly reputation? So we'll start off with Matty for this one.
Yeah, so I'm open to it, whatever the students want, I'm here to sort of give that back, so I'm more than open to deal with that. And I think WAJ, to be fair, has done well with that, so my role would be to sort of get behind that and keep it going. Another thing that I have done in the past that I would like to bring into the uni would be the rainbow laces for societies and sports clubs as well, in Bucks and whenever they play on a Saturday or whatever. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you, Maddie. We'll go to Rachel next.
100%. We need representation in our university, and that is just one of the ways that we can do that. So happily rekindle and push forward with that representation and that relationship. Also with other societies that I feel could also work with representation and inclusion. For example, the African Caribbean Society could have a lot to do with our portrayals of race and our representation of race within the society, within the union. And also for inclusion, ensuring that everyone has their place and everyone can access things. Probably also work with societies such as AberBSL. I've been trying to learn BSL throughout my life. Throughout my childhood, I've been speaking Makaton with my brother, and I just feel that using all these all these societies that are to do with liberation and inclusion, I feel like we should be celebrating those and having them as a place at the table, and letting them speak as well.
Awesome. We'll go to Jodie next.
I mean, mine was going to be a simple one-word answer and just say absolutely. There's no point in taking 2 steps back. If we're going to go forward, we're going to leaps and bounds. We're going to continue this. Everything that's happening currently between the LGBT, everything WAJ is doing, especially in this, is going in the right direction, and simply categorically that needs to continue. There's no point in taking 2 steps back. You've got to push through it because there's a whole community behind you, and we need representation. We need this. So yeah.
Awesome. Reese?
So one of the amazing events that COVID has whipped up my hands that I usually would love to attend to is Gay Pride in Birmingham. It's a week-long, absolutely amazing festival with loads of people take part, and I'd love to be able to bring something like that to Aberystwyth and with the societies and the sports clubs, a massive celebration at the SU of Gay Pride and LGBTQ plus support. I think it just a whole big, massive weekend-long session where we can all just love each other and have a great time and support each other. I think it'd be wonderful. That's a little pipe dream of mine.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for your answers to that one. Just quickly, because we are really running out of time, there's one short question that I think would be really good to finish on, and I've got my stopwatch now, so I'm timing you guys to keep it to 30 seconds. So the final question is, what one thing would you prioritise in your first term if you're elected? So if you're elected, what's the first thing you're going to prioritise in the first term? And we will start with Jodie first. So yeah, your time starts now.
For my phone's going. For my first term particularly, it would definitely be COVID training, specifically for everyone on committees, to make sure during the transitional period everyone's aware. We could set it up from the get-go. Everyone knows exactly what they're doing, has the support there, and we're on our way for the rest of the year.
Perfect. Thanks, Jodie. Good answer. We'll go to Rachel next. So Rachel, your time's starting now.
Okay, first thing I'd look to is communication with new committees. At the moment, I bet anyone who's thinking of running for committee or who's trying to be pushed to running for committee are absolutely scared to death. So I'd work with communication with them, ensure with those contingency plans, see what we can do for the year ahead, and work towards bettering communication, improving accessibility, and collaboration with other sports clubs and societies.
Lovely job.
And how long that was? I feel like it was a
yes, perfect. 28, bang on. So Reese, yes. We'll go to you next.
Yeah, again, I haven't really got much to say. Just to build on Rachel's point, I would again focus on communication outreach is definitely something that needs to improve between the ops officer and societies. I'd say Wodge has done an amazing job this year at keeping on top of everything and making sure everyone's up to date with information. But I think, especially if I was to be elected, the first thing I would definitely try to do is engage in some kind of dialogue with as many different committee members and important people as possible, so I can then move forward and move forward with plans that I know will benefit all of them.
Awesome. Thanks, Reese. And we'll finish with you, Matty. So I've forgotten the question by the time we've got to the end. So I'll just say, what one thing would you prioritise in your first term if elected? Go for it.
Yeah, so the one thing I prioritise would be the risk assessments for every club and SOC for COVID, and make sure they run alongside government guidelines, because without this, they cannot train and they cannot host a social.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Right, thank you everyone for submitting all your questions, and thank you candidates especially for your time and for answering all those questions. I know it can get quite stressful. Got one last thing just to finish off with, and it literally is like 10-15 seconds each. If students want to get hold of you for your campaign, what's the best way to find you? So whether that's linking to your Facebook account or what have you. If we start off with Reese.
Brilliant. So best way to get in contact with me, if you fancy a chat, I'm always down, I'm always bored, please talk to me. My Facebook, Reese for Opportunities Officer, and we just Reese Smith on my Facebook. All the information you need, you'll find it there, lovely and tidy and organised for you. I look forward to chatting to as many of you as possible.
Thanks, Reese. Jodie?
Yeah, so I've made it quite easy. My name on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, if you want to go and follow me on there, amazing. It's Nots for Ops, so it's NOTS for OPPS.
Great, thank you. Matty?
Yeah, Facebook or Instagram, Matthew Jones with 1T. Please put 1T, don't put 2 because you won't find me. And my inbox is always open, so yeah.
Thank you. And finally, Rachel.
I'm really upset I gave up TikTok for Lent. So on Facebook and Instagram, I'm at Barwise for Ops. Barwise, my surname there, for the number, and Ops, the short, cool way of saying opportunities. Also got a hashtag Barwise for Ops. It's a running theme. And if you want to email me, my email is in the little Teams box thingy. I'm rjb12@aber.ac.uk. Whatever question, whatever comment you have, I'll be ready to answer it. If not, we can just have a chat.
Great, thanks guys. And yeah, excellent. Just a final quick plug, just to remind everyone of voting week. Voting opens on Monday the 8th of March and runs up until Friday the 12th of March. It'll be here before you know it. So yeah, everyone make sure to vote during that time. We'll be taking just a couple of minutes break now before starting the Sports and Society Zone, just to let those of you who are staying on just get a quick cup of tea. So yeah, we'll aim to start at 6:05 for the Sports and Society Zone. So we'll see you all back here in a few minutes. Thank you again, everyone. Thanks for your time today.
What's